So today, again, is all about joy, and we really do hope that many of you who are collectors and appreciators of art might, chime in and share some of your experiences of how art brings you joy. But we really kind of set up this panel today with Jennifer Vrains, who many of you will know. She literally, everything she paints just embodies joy. And as we've been putting this together, and I always read through all of our artist statements, there are several artists who use joy as kind of their introduction as to why they do what they do. But again, Jennifer embodies that, and I'm going to have you share that, if you will, in a minute, Jen. And then I wanted to have the collector viewpoint, and who better than our ambassador of art, Frank Rosciapo, and his beautiful wife Janice. And again, we would love some of our other people to chime in, because we know through our years of experience how much joy really does art feed people's soul. And a little backstory: when the Celebration of Fine Art started, the first year was 1991, which meant in 1990 it was being incorporated, and plans going before the city of Scottsdale and that kind of thing. And originally it was the name idea was Scottsdale Festival of Art, but it was too close to the name of the Scottsdale, the festival that had been going on here for a number of years, that was sponsored by the Scottsdale Cultural Council. So my dad and stepmom, and I'm guessing back in the day, they took out a thesaurus and looked for a word similar to festival and landed on celebration. So for me, it was one of those serendipitous things that happen, because to me, celebration truly embodies what we do at the Celebration of Fine Art. And when I think of celebration, I think of, a time of joyful experience with others. So it was one of those things that really turned out to be the perfect mistake or happenstance that allowed us to have such a perfectly named event. So with that, I'm going to give you a little bit more background about Frank and Janice, and then I'm going to let you guys share how you first discovered the celebration. And later on, we're going to talk about how you both shop differently and experience it differently. Just tell us a little bit about you, Frank and Janice, and how art has made your life so joyful.
Take it away.
Take it away, Janice.
No.
The Frank and Janice show.
Well, Janice got me interested in art more than I was with the celebration, because she was out and about and discovered the celebration and said, "You've got to see this. This is the greatest thing on the planet for art." And I said, "Oh yeah, sure." And then I went there, and she was right again. The experience of walking into the tent and seeing so much creativity in one place, so uplifting, so joyous, if you will, really got my attention, got my interest, got my spirit going, and I just immersed myself in it over the last 15 or 20 years. It's just a joy. It's something I look forward to. Every year is a little better than the year before, and I have been able to use art as a vehicle for me. I have stated that art for me is the past, it's the present, and it's the future. And I have a little bit of background with growing up with art, because my father was an artist, not a professional, but a very good artist. And he was in the military and worked in camouflage, but he did a painting of Dwight Eisenhower that he gave me. I want to show it to you. So this is from my past. This is what he did.
That's a great painting.
It's fantastic. And it was painted 2 months before D-Day in 1944. And this was given to me by my dad to carry on, and we have since donated it to the Eisenhower Foundation for the future. So this is part of the past. I had it in the present, and I've passed it on to the future.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So that's my little story on art. Janice, take it away.
If we have time later, I'll tell you more of the funny story about the Eisenhower, but it is in Palm Desert at their hospital. It's featured there with the story surrounding it. So it's wonderful. I know, Susan, you've heard me tell this many times, but I just discovered when you were that big tent down off Scottsdale Road in Camelback, and just walked in. There's something about a tent. And at the time, I think art to most of us was painting, on the wall. That was sort of the essence. We were trained, or at least what we knew about. And of course, it's morphed into so much more than that. And that's what's so exciting this year, because you have so much more. So we don't even know what to expect anymore. But so I wouldn't have thought of myself as a collector per se. I still don't, because I don't have a method.
There's no method.
There's no method at all. And this is just funny. Frank used to say, well, he used to really tease me about why do you keep buying this art and it's sitting on the floor? Why? Or I don't know, because I like the person, I like whatever it was. And he would say, J.A., I think there are three things that should judge. You should be aware of when you want to buy it. This is what Frank said. If you're going to buy a piece of art, you should really love it. You should be able to afford it. And you should have a place for it. Do you remember? 1 out of 3 of those is good.
I was going to say,
played by that rule at all. So it was just fun. And truly, each year we come back, we can't wait to see the artist. I really feel like it's an expanded family of ours. We've met so many people, and we are still in touch with people, who aren't at the show anymore. I mean, we have a huge collection of people, and those memories are very special. So, it's kind of an embarrassment of riches for us to take everything and kind of put this beautiful pile of beautiful art behind us. But I can't tell you how much joy it brings to us. And it's at the Sausalito Art Festival, we'll find out who from the celebration is going to be going there. We can't wait to see them there. It's just fun, and it's very joyous. It's a big part of our life.
yay. We're so grateful and so happy. It is like a little tribe of people. And so thank you. We'll be back to talk more about some of your key pieces and some of the experiences. And I know we've got some good stories, but for people watching, you may recognize Frank. A lot of people think he officially works for us, but he is just like our ambassador. We call him Father Frank. He spreads the joy of art wherever he goes, as do many of our people. But it was just like, okay, we have so many great collectors, but got to have the ambassador on and his perfect sidekick. So I want to lean over to Jennifer Rains, and thank you, Jennifer, for taking time out of your other Zoom webinar to be here with us. And again, you just embody joy, and your work. I literally watch people come by and smile when they see your work. And I think maybe we can get Deb to share a little bit of maybe her story. But let's start with you and your gorgeous studio that you're in right now.
Oh, thank you. I just finished this little painting last night and it was approved. Yay!
Nice.
Wow.
He wanted me to combine two of my previous paintings. Like he wanted thick trunks from one and then the background in the other. So I merged the two. And anyways, I was so happy he approved it.
I love it.
He's like, it turned out better than I imagined. I'm like, oh, that's what you want to hear.
Yes.
It's so true. Like art, I feel like you really should hang up on your wall something that you see every day, something that uplifts you and makes you feel better. And there really is no greater compliment than hanging a piece of art in a home and then having the clients just say, this just brings me so much joy, or following up a month later and them saying, I can't imagine my life without this art. Like art has that power, and it's been proven. There's so many scientific studies out about how art literally lowers your blood pressure, heals you quicker. I mean, it's astounding that the power of art and how it could heal your soul and your depression and all of the things. And it's so amazing that we had Celebration to go to, because, not all art shows are created equally. I've done a lot of art shows in New York where you walk in and you feel this oppressive weight and you look around and it's not the happy art. Let's just say that. I was
Oh, yeah,
across.
there is some of that. Yeah.
Ooh. No, I was like right across from this. I will not go into what it was, but it was not something you'd want to look at every day. But yes, but you walk into Celebration and you immediately just feel happier and you're with your family. It's like, I feel like the same thing. It's an extended family, like with the artists and then the collectors are amazing. And just to get to see them every day and have them come through. But there's something different also about Celebration. So it's like every artist there is creating art that makes you feel happier. And that's just the best. And last week I went over to a collector's home and she's like, I walk into this room and it makes me giggle. I'm like, oh, that's the best. It makes you giggle. I mean, that's what we want. We just want to feel happier. So that just makes that's the best compliment in the world when my clients tell me that. I'm like, yes, because I certainly
Giggling is
feel
good.
better creating it. I could only go about a week without creating art. I start to get anxious and it's weird. Like I'll go on a vacation and my family knows it's like been a week. Okay, I'm ready to get back in the studio because I myself just have to create and it just puts me in, I don't know, like this equilibrium. Sounds crazy.
A joyful frame of mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to your point, like there are studies and maybe we can get Pierre to even share, because I know Pierre, you're on here and you work in the field of Alzheimer's, I believe, but art has a positive impact on brain waves and it also helps your emotions, your nervous system. It can increase serotonin. And there's a study out of the University of London where they scanned the brains of people, of volunteers, as they were actually looking at art. And they found it triggered an immediate release of dopamine, which is our happy hormone. And that's related to love and pleasure and desire. And I can't think of any time more important than now for us to fill our souls with positive and happy and joyful experiences. And one of the things I said to my new friend Kelly Young for our Joey project was, I encourage people not just to buy the art and hang it on their wall or put it on their pedestal or a table and forget about it. I literally will walk around our house and I'll look at different pieces of art and it will take me back. I'll remember when I bought it, the emotion that we had. And in addition to buying so much art, from art collectors, we're like normal people. When we travel, we always seek out art and we frequently bring home pieces of art from where we travel to. And it not only is a beautiful visual experience, it takes us back to that place. And again, Jen, so many of your works of art, the lavender fields, the aspens, the poppies, the wineries, and got to tell a story about you. We were in the Portland area a few years back. Jake's brother and his wife were living there at the time. And we were with Jake's mom and dad and sister, who's on the Zoom with us today, Kathleen. And we went to this gorgeous winery called
Ardiri.
Ardiri. And I was stepping up to the tasting bar and like, there's Jen Brain's paintings. And you have painted how many paintings for the Ardiri family?
Over 50. He's my top
50?
collector.
50.
Yes. I met him long ago when I was in San Francisco doing Union Square shows, and he hadn't ever collected art before, but he came in and liked
He does now.
And so that's how it started. And then he would call me up and be like, I've got another wall. I'm like, okay, what do you have in mind? Do you have something with these? Yes, I do. So it just started growing, and because he had the winery and then a home in California too. And I went to some of these houses, and I don't think anyone told him he could collect other artists. Like, that's okay. He just kept going.
Of course, we had to buy the wine with your label. There's a couple of different bottles with your label. So
yeah.
And again, that's one of our funnest things is when we travel and we stumble upon, like recently we were in the Salt Lake, the new Salt Lake International Airport right after they opened after years of renovation, and the Delta Lounge was filled with art from artists from our show. And it's just so we feel like proud parents when we go and we see art gracing the walls of public places across the country. And again, and knowing public art is so critical to our human psyche. And that's why it's so important to see it in all the cities around the world. You know, you see public art and many times your mind will connect a place, you know, to that as well. So,
I agree. Even as an artist, like I like to collect other art myself. Like when I go to a place like in Tuscany, we literally, I passed this gallery window. The gallery was not open, siesta. And so I was like looking, I camped out on that doorstep until they opened it up because I wanted that painting in there. It was made out of encaustic wax. I love it. And he shipped it to me and it's hanging on my wall. So people often ask, like, you're an artist, like you could paint your own stuff. But I'm like, no, but I want to collect. For me, that's a memory of Tuscany. Like, and I have my favorites that I look around and it reminds me of a trip. So, I mean, even artists collect other artists.
oh yeah,
Yeah. I love it. Very cool. I know. And
and,
Deborah had, oh, I was good. I'm looking at Deborah. I'm like, had my most unique commission ever.
yeah. Do you want to share that? And then Casey, we can't figure out how to get your video working, honey. But if we do, we want you to share too. But Deb, you do have one of the most extensive collections and a unique commission of gins.
Well, I can't take full credit for it because I got the idea from somewhere else. There's a foundation in Sonoma that actually had a house, a barn that was converted into a house. And they must have had, and I mean, it was this huge, huge, vaulted ceiling, and it had all these paintings that were hanging from this vaulted ceiling. And I thought, oh, that's really cool. I want to do that someday. So, in admiring, Jen's work, over the years, and I think it was like a 2-year process when we first started talking with her and kind of thinking about it. And then a couple of seasons ago, we decided to pull the trigger on it. And Jen was so kind and it was just a wonderful process, going through this with her and creating, little special things on it. And it's ours, it's unique, it's special, and it's something that we get to have with us forever.
Well,
Yes.
that's what's so fun about working directly with our collectors as an artist. Like that's the best when you can sit down, talk about what you want in your painting. You can come look at the progress. We can go to your home. And I love that interaction because, a lot of times, and Celebration brings that to us because most of the time we're working in our studios, shipping stuff off to galleries. They don't even tell us when they sell a painting, they won't even share the names of the people. It's horrible. Like we could help, but they are, anyways, that's a whole nother thing. But I love that Celebration provides that connection directly with the collectors and the artists. And as an artist, that's my favorite thing about the whole show is meeting them and having these relationships that they may get a piece of art or they may not, but it doesn't matter. They come through and we talk and we just build that really neat relationship. And that's what's so special, I think, about Celebration. Because
and again,
and it's so unique. It's so unique.
And more than
it brings
ever,
everything home.
Yeah, and we need that more than ever, that connection, that letting people know that they're special to us, and whether they're just out of curiosity or if they're adding to their collection, that joy is something we're happy to share. And Frank and Janice, one thing I know about the two of you is you have very different ways in which you collect. You have different methodology, which I love that Janice is like, I don't have a method, but
and there it is.
ooh, yeah, there it is, from blank canvas
There it
to
is.
I was
end.
happy I didn't have to hang it.
Yeah.
No, I think I know who did that. Wasn't that somebody I know? Doug? Jake?
They had a hanging company that came. I was so relieved I didn't have to figure out how to hang it on the ceiling. I was like, it's a whole company. Anyway.
Yeah, there's always, well, again, we always have to solve problems along the way, but so Frank, I know you are a big fan also of commission work, and
Yeah.
Janice, you collect with your heart. I mean, you will come in and say, oh, I just saw this piece I love, and you also are very thoughtful and you connect deeply with the individual artists. Can you guys each share a little bit about your triggers of what what makes you connect to the
You
pieces?
know what, we can, but Frank is sitting here, he can't wait to talk, so I'm gonna let him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was doing this past, present, and future approach. And one of the great things about art is that you can spread the joy by taking the event, the art, and passing it on to others. So I have 3 wonderful children,
Yes.
and for their birthdays, I've taken the opportunity to have art commissioned. This is my daughter Rachel and I.
Oh,
She's a very big influence in my life, and I was able to give it to her for her birthday, and I'm able to keep a copy for me. So I have the joy of seeing her every day, and she has the joy of knowing her dad cares.
oh, and she's on here, right, Rachel?
Jan was
Rachel?
mentioning how she could take and collaborate 2 or 3 pieces for someone and make it into a new piece. And I had the good fortune of, for my son Mark on his 50th birthday, coordinating. Can you see this?
No, it's
pretty
great.
crazy.
We can see.
But in the center is my father. This is 4 generations. Baseball is big in our world, as you can see. I'm a 5-year-old with my brother, and we have a bat, and that's how you choose up sides. And this was taken in 1947. Well, I took that and I combined it with my picture of me alone at age 9, my son Mark and his picture in baseball uniform at 9, and his son Ryan and his daughter Julia about the same age, and consolidated into one painting altogether. And this was his 50th birthday gift. So you can
Wow.
see I've taken the past
amazing.
4 generations are shown here. It goes to the future. The new grandchildren are part of the art process. And that is the magic of the celebration, is that you can get with a creative artist and take your ideas. I can't paint, but I come up with ideas, and the artists are able to make these magnificent productions. And it just brings us.
The first one with Judith Dickinson, was that baseball
They
one?
both were,
Judith?
they both were
Judith Dickinson.
Judith. Both were
Because I
Judith.
like the sepia tone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that was her idea.
that was her idea.
That's the thing
And
about Frank he is outside of the box.
from some old paintings from from
This
old
big.
photographs.
Like 2 inches.
And Santiago did that as well. I got one more.
It is show and tell here. That's what we're set up for.
Frank is not just picking it off the wall. He has this
But
idea.
Yeah.
Santiago's work,
Oh, yeah.
and
Oh,
that is a black and white photo originally from 1920.
That was a rough photo. I remember that one.
Yeah, and that is my grandfather's barber shop in Brooklyn, New York. And he's in the group there of barbers. And this was the only photograph of his business that existed. And I was able to get prints made and spread the joy by sending to 4 of his living daughters, my grandfather's daughters, my aunts, who were all in their 90s.
Oh,
And they had the come aparts, as a friend of mine said. They were so excited, and so many memories and so much joy. Again, thanks to the celebration, thanks to the creativity of the artists and the magic that you do.
wow.
Passing it on, it's joyous.
That is so awesome. And you know what?
Oh.
I remember each of those instances so clearly for you, and the embodiment of joy for you, and part of your joy, well, there's the process, there's the idea, there's the process, and then there's the sharing it. And I think I love how you have made that an integral part of your collecting, to share it with your family, to share it with the museums, to pass it along. That is such a gift. It just really is.
Part of it is the artists are so anxious to try it, to do it. Oh man, yeah, we can do that. I can do that. Yeah. And that's that's part of the excitement, part of the joy, because the artist wants to do it. All right, it's not, you know, the easiest thing, but I'll give it a shot. And whammo,
Yeah.
we made.
They're willing to do it. Yeah. And then there's my sweet Janice.
Well, I just love to follow Frank. You know, it's pretty hard to do. You know, I think a lot of us are saying the same things. Every piece of art, it's like music too. You know, you don't forget music. It evokes a certain memory, it evokes a feeling. And there's a memory associated with everything. When we travel, we pick up things too. And I can remember, I know KC is on. And so the opening night of the celebration is just the most magical moment. And if we were both there at the same time, we would walk through in the first couple of days and pick, you know, if we had an unlimited expense, you know, cap, if we had unlimited funds, what would we buy? What were our favorite things? And that was fun. And we really agreed on a lot of them. One of my favorite things is bringing new people to the show. My family comes, a lot of our friends, they stay with us and they just don't understand why we talk about it all the time. And then they get it. And you can't just go through once, you have to go through several different times. And it's as much fun seeing it through their eyes, you know, what they like. And we all have different tastes. It's so much fun. The only really, if there is a difficult thing, is you can't have it all. You know, not that you want it all, but you want to solidify the relationship with the artists because they put so much into it. And so it's a wonderful thing when you share that with an artist, and you just can't share it with all of them.
Here, I'm on a Zoom meeting.
So, and you know what else, Janice, I remember about your collecting? You always look out for the new people. Oh, I think that's Lexi. There, I fixed that. Okay, Janice, you will come in the office and you're so thoughtful of, especially the newer artists. You want to, you know, make sure that they feel welcome, and you're very thoughtful about that. And again, that's such a gift about, you know, this experience. And this doesn't really all have to be about celebration of fine art, but just seeing that connection between people and seeing the genuine interest that the collectors have in being supportive of the artists. And I know the artists appreciate that. And the other thing I love is so many of our collectors have such diverse collections. Like, we don't have too many people that are just like kind of in a tunnel. People like to have diversity, and right behind you, I see quite a bit of that.
It's really quite fun. I know, just a funny quick story. We are in fire up in Tahoe and in the Bay Area. We have, you know, we're not on alert. I mean, we're on alert. And I find myself thinking, okay, if we had 10 minutes, we have 5 minutes, what would I grab? If I had 10 minutes, 15, and I'll get our wedding annual, you know, I'll get my laptop, I'll get our wedding album. And then it's just a matter of how many of these paintings I can get into the car. It really is true.
Yeah.
You know, that's the way we feel. You know, in Tahoe, right as you walk out the door, there are 2 of Debbie Eggers' Sturgis, and it just chokes me up now, you know, to think about it. And I remember her painting those. I remember picking those up, and one was a charity thing. And, you know, there's just, the memories just flow back, and it's just, it's so rewarding. It really is.
Yes, and then if we think about in the greater, you know, expanse of art in the world, Jennifer talked about it in the beginning, art heals. You see so many places, hospitals and nursing homes and places where people go for healing, and the recognition of how important it is to have art and things of beauty for people to look at. And Jen, I don't recall, do you have, obviously we know you have public art in public spaces. Do you have any in hospitals or environments like that?
Yes, a couple of cancer institutes too. And they specifically picked my soothing landscapes just for that reason, you know, because it's such an intense environment. They want to really, you know, bring them back down. So yes, one hospital and then a couple of cancer ones too. And I love that. And some come through the show too, and they're like, we are looking for art that has that ability, just that anyone can look at it and just feel calm and peaceful.
Lower the blood pressure.
Yes, lower the blood pressure.
And I would say multiple times every season, we have people who come over who are primarily from Mayo Clinic. I'm sure we might get a few that come from the other hospitals, but we've had, like, literally every year I'll recognize, you know, somebody coming in, and I had a battle with cancer back in 2002 and 3, and I was at Mayo, and it's such a unique environment there. It's like everything's about healing, and they have, you know, pianos in the lobby playing music. They have beautiful art displays at the clinic and the hospital that, you know, beautiful works of art that rotate throughout. But there's people that manage to get like a day pass while they're in the hospital. They get a day pass so they can get out, and they'll come to the celebration of fine art. And I remember last year there was one woman. Was it last year? This is all kind of blending together, but I think it was this past year. And she, you know, obviously had the visual cues of cancer and chemotherapy, and she was there with a friend, and they used the scooter, which we have, and she was backing it back into where we keep it by the office. And I said, oh, that's okay, we'll take care of it, because, you know, my brother Doug, who works with us, he's so awesome about always really giving thoughtfulness to the people, especially that need that. And she looked at me and she said, I just want it to be perfect because you made my day perfect. Not me, but the experience. And I said, you know, that's a blessing for us to hear that, because she had been in the hospital for like 8 weeks or something, hugely extended amount of time. And she said, I said, it feeds your soul, doesn't it? And she said, absolutely. And she said, my soul needed that. So, you know, I see that. And again, I don't want to put Pierre on the spot, but do you have any insights on that?
You know, so hello, everybody. My name is Pierre Theriault, French name.
Like Poget.
No, you've hit some of the highlights. I did brain research, and you're quite right that depending you know, on what you want to look for, there is ample neuroscientific evidence that artwork and music and so forth really do light up circuits in an important way in the brain. But if you'll indulge me, Susan, just for a minute, I mean, I've enjoyed this series so much. I've enjoyed listening to all of you today. And I was reflecting on why we're so excited about celebration. Both of my parents had composers and conductors as ancestors. My grandfather was a so-so artist and president of the Rockport Art Association, and also the arts editor for the Christian Science Monitor. So I grew up exposed to all of that. In fact, we have quite a few of those paintings in our home. In college, I took an oil painting course and a figure drawing course. And you could imagine, I'm so terrible that all the figures I drew and the faces look just like mine, not the model. But the artist who taught me spent hours with me, giving me recommendations for where to go in my 3-month bicycle tour of Europe. So I went to different cities and museums just to see specific pieces, and came back, and it just was, it was a transformative experience. I'll mention something that I think you all will resonate with. The college I went to, the favorite course in that college, Amherst College, is a course where the first 2 weeks the students go through the art gallery on campus. They pick a single piece of art to relate to, and that's all they do for the course for the rest of the semester, is relate to that single piece. And the testimony from those students is incredible. Karen Parks, whom you may or may not know, Susan, is our architect who suggested see the celebration, and it's just sort of blown us away, all the creativity. So we have a number of pieces, probably 15 or so in our home from various artists at Celebration, and they're mixed in with portraits of relatives from 400 years ago, and oil paintings from last year and Myron Whitaker's pottery.
Uh-huh.
So we love it, and a huge piece from Sandra Wampler in our bedroom. She was
I
worried.
remember that well. Yeah.
She was worried it would be a little too stimulating, but we particularly during COVID, just enjoy it, seeing it so much. I didn't answer your question, but too bad.
Oh no, it was beautiful what you shared, and it made me think while you were talking that recently on Facebook, I've seen this, probably a lot of you have, a video of a woman who in her 90s now, who was a premier ballerina from New York, and she has Alzheimer's, and they played Swan Lake, and she remembered the dance move. I mean, it just blew my mind to see that, the beauty of that. And then another thing, and you touched on it, Pierre, and Jennifer, you've really taken another step in your art journey by sharing and teaching others. And Casey, Casey, I have seen you on camera, so you are there. But so many of our collectors get so inspired that they then turn to painting and creating on their own. And Jennifer, you've started a whole wonderful opportunity to teach other people to paint.
It's been so
Casey,
fun.
somebody who painted for years, and she's a collector. And
yes, I have quite a few in there who start off as my collectors. So, well, so COVID hit, but right before, so January of this year, I kept feeling like, I want to teach. And, artists, we grow up and we go to college and they tell us you have to keep your secrets so close. You can't share them with anyone, which is false. It's so wrong. And I realized that, like, the sharing is in the joy, and no two people can paint exactly alike. Like, I could teach someone step by step, but their painting will never look exactly like my painting. So I have nothing to worry about. And this has been the most rewarding, exciting thing ever, because I started a group called Let's Dabble for people that just want to learn how to paint with a palette knife. And it has grown so quickly. And I think part of that probably is COVID inducive, because they're all stuck at home and nothing to do, but yet they can paint. So it's blown up, and it's been so fun. And a lot of them are retired. I'd say probably 80% of them are retired, and they just want a fun hobby to do, something that makes them feel better, something that they could give away as gifts, these kinds of things. And the style is loose and fun. So they're able to learn and to have something that they're proud of. Anyway, so that's just been really exciting, just to see their excitement with learning how to create paint. A lot of these dabblers have never created art in their lives. And they've thought, well, I'm a left brain person. There's no way I don't have a creative bone in my body, those kinds of excuses. But they're finding that they can create something cool and something that they could be proud of. And it's been really fun. So yeah.
I remember Ron Cheek, who was in the show many, many years ago, and he painted with palette knives and thick. And he and Jerry Jordan were kind enough to indulge me and were teaching me how to paint, and the power when you have that paintbrush or the palette and the paint. So,
and you can't be tight. Like, your paintings are a reflection of whatever tools you're using. So if you're using tiny little brushes, then your painting is going to be really tight and all of that. So if you're using a big palette knife, you can't help but be a little looser. So that's what's
Well, and one of my favorite things is to go around and look at people's palette, where what they work, like your table, Jen. Your table's a work of art, and it creates works of art. I don't know how many hand painted cards. They're the best thing in the world. My mother-in-law has saved those and framed them, and I always think, did I already give her a copy or a sunflower? So, but they're just wonderful. And back in that day, Ron Cheek was this guy, and his palette was really big, like yours, thick, big piles of paint. He was not shy. And then there was a guy named Fred Denny's, who had little, like, stalactites. He was super frugal, and he would just, like, layer his paint, and he'd use the tiny brushes too. So seeing the differential is quite interesting and fun too. And we always like to make sure that we answer any questions that people might have. So if there's people on either the chat on Zoom or on Facebook, that have questions, be sure to put them in the chat area. And we have so enjoyed carrying on the art discovery throughout the COVID times. We never used to do this off season. We always just did the art discovery every Friday during the show. We have had so much fun and we're so delighted. And again, Beth is my right-hand person that helps make these happen. And we record each of these and then they live forever on our Facebook page and on our website. And we just actually devoted a whole tab section on our website to the art discovery.
Wow.
So it used to live under blogs and podcasts, but now it's got its own tab, which will have all of the recorded, because each week that we've done these on Zoom, we've been recording, and then Beth and her team kind of edit them up a little bit, and then they live on our YouTube page as well. So we're really excited about kind of being able to expand our library of information for people to be able to go back and watch or share with their friends. And we always want to add value. So as I mentioned in the beginning, we are getting ready to launch a marketplace coming, supposed to be next Wednesday if we get all of our stores populated. It's been very exciting to do all the frame. Well, I didn't do it. I have great people who do it, but I've been involved and excited about it. But we're gotten all the foundation, and now the artists are starting to populate. So we have on our main website, we have the Meet the Artist page, which is representative of what they'll have at the show. But this new marketplace, you literally will be able to see what they have and maybe get a buy it in advance. It'll be available 24/7. And we're doing our best to, again, keep the value and add as much about the artist as we can, instead of being a typical web-based online gallery. We want you to connect with artists as much as possible still through the website. So we're excited about that, but we will not be hosting a Zoom in December, just because we know it's a pretty busy month for so many people, and we'll be gearing up for the 2021 roster of things. And we're just finalizing our art discovery. So if anybody has any suggestions of things that they would love to have us cover, put it in the chat or put it in Facebook.
Susan?
Yes, and I see a question there for Frank, by the way.
It's not a question. I have one more example of the magic of the celebration.
Okay.
When I started, it was past, present, and future. And I'm going to do the future story now. And we talked to the interaction of the artist and the collectors. Well, in my travels with my daughter and her family, they ended up here, and I was able to take my granddaughter and my daughter and her family to the celebration. And lo and behold, my oldest granddaughter, Erin, was interested in ceramics.
Yep.
And she was in high school. And of course, there's some great ceramicists at the celebration, including Joe Woodford and Myron Whitaker. And she was interacting with them. And the next thing I knew, these two guys had adopted this young lady and were teaching her all types of creative ceramic, whatever, tricks of the trade. It turns out that Erin went on and received a scholarship to NAU in ceramics. She got a complete college education, and then she graduated from NAU as the Artist of the Year from her class and received a full scholarship to the University of Indiana, where she is now Bachelor's of Fine Art, and she's an instructor. This is the power of the celebration. This is how we create artists of the future, if you will, by spreading the joy of art and all that it brings to us. And this is firsthand example. And I'm so proud of Erin, and I'm so proud of the celebration for what it has done to me. Talk about joy. I am joyful for this type of event. Thank you.
Oh, and we love you. And it is such a blessing to see Erin over the years, to watch, that little spark turned into her career. And she's going to impact many other people through that as well. So
That's what celebration does. It's sharing. We just share. That's what I
Oh,
love.
and by the way, I have Jen's palette.
yeah, that was a question. Didn't you buy one of Jen's palettes? Yeah.
I have her palette, and I have her apron. I have an apron too.
I was trying to figure out, so that is an apron. Okay. That's
That's-
that's a one of a kind original apron.
Frank is a very unique person.
Amen. Yes.
He doesn't just go buy something off the wall. It'll have to hit him like, you know what? I like that. So he was walking past my studio, and at that time I was using canvases as mixing palettes, and then I'd get it all loaded up with texture and then paint over it a scene. And instead of looking at my art hanging up on the wall, what does he love? He loves the palette. The palette. He's like, how much for the palette? I'm like, what? The palette? What are you talking about? He wanted the palette. Where is the palette? Is it hanging up on your wall? I never knew where you actually.
Which location?
Susan, we have Robin's apron too. That became a work of art too at the end of the show.
Well, and I was just going to say, Robin frequently will use a canvas as her table, and then next thing you know, it's a painting. So
Love it.
you got one of Robin's aprons, huh?
Yeah.
We ought to have an auction one year of artist aprons.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Those blue jeans that we all
I bet
painted
we
off
could
of
raise some money for some good cause for that.
I love it.
But I think I can speak for everybody who will see this, that we as appreciators of art are so grateful to the artists like Jen and everyone else in the show, and hobbyists like Casey, who's really should be a professional artist, but she's a hobbyist. But for being able to use their beautiful view of the world to show us, what they see. And I always think it's interesting to see the world through the eyes of an artist. And we have a group this year that one of our art discovery panels will be about is there's a group of artists who selected one subject matter, and they're each going to paint it in their own way. And we're going to have a discussion about how, that the interpretation of an artist really, again, you can take one thing, just like Jen was saying earlier, you can teach somebody techniques, but everyone's going to, make it their own. So it'll be fun.
I just wanted to add one thing, that each year you set a higher bar for how wonderful it is and the group of artists. And I don't know how you do it, but it is actually true. Each year it gets better. Maybe someone's not coming back and, you sigh and it kind of hurts your heart a little bit, but then, another couple of people, and it's just wonderful. It is better every year. And I'm glad
Oh.
I've probably been to about 30. So thank you for what you and Jake do, really.
Oh, thank you. It's our pleasure. And it is a little bit like baking a cake every year, the different ingredients go in, but we're just so grateful for so many amazing artists, and the ones who come back year after year, they want to elevate and be better every year. And the camaraderie that they have with each other is quite amazing. And like, a couple of you have alluded to, we see our artists at other shows around the country, and they're always the ones kind of at the top of the pack there. And they're also the ones who are looking out for each other. And we've seen so many great relationships and friendships between artists and between us as collectors and artists, and so many great stories. And it's a story that we're grateful to be a part of and proud to carry on the legacy. And every year we discover something new and keeps it interesting.
Bravo.
Keep it going.
Bravo.
Yeah.
Thank you, Susan.
So, but I just want to thank each of you for being here. And it was a little bit different topic, a little bit different setting, but hearing our collectors share about their experience always makes my heart happy. And like Frank and Janice, I love seeing the artwork behind you. I see Michael Jones, Robin Branham, Jen Frains, Bruce Marion,
This goes on and on.
The Severs, Greg and Matt, can you figure out whose this is?
I don't think anyone can figure that out.
Is that, I know who that is.
It's unusual for her.
Is that Heidi?
Yes.
Uh,
I mean,
Could not tell.
bought it. He said, what? Where are you going to put that? I don't know. This is a tough one, but it's so unique. But I just fell in love with it. You know.
And you got a
Yeah,
Kirk
well, she
Randall.
now does
family.
wildlife.
Yes.
Heidi used to be all flowers and desert scenes, and now she's animals. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some great collaboration. So, I mean, it's just so exciting. There's so many, I can't wait to see what 2021 has in store and what stories will be, revealed to us as we walk about the tent. And we so look forward to welcoming all of you back. And we hope that you'll keep in touch and let us know. And
We'll see you in the big white tent.
yeah, countdown's on. Countdown's on.
Okay.
So.
Thank you.